David, maybe apologize for that and then redo what we just did.
I apologize that we had some audio difficulties, video difficulties, but we have called the meeting to order. We have approved the meeting minutes from the last meeting. And within those meeting minutes, there are the public comments that we received, which we very much appreciate. All the commissioners have had ample time to review those comments. And we thank those who sent comments in very much.
Excuse me, as a point of clarification, are this the general minutes or the executive session?
We approved both.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I didn't hear both of them as well.
She moved to approve both.
Okay.
At this time, is there a motion to go into executive session regarding the
Commissioner Washington moves to go into executive session.
And do I have a second?
Second, Doug York.
And all in favor?
Aye.
So at this point, we are going to go into executive session, and we will return at the end of that session. And at the end of today's meeting, there will be a 30-minute public comment period, which will start from the time that it's announced that it begins towards the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will actually We are now back in public meeting, and we would like to continue with item number 3, the selection of the 5th member of our commission, and I will open the floor to nomination.
I'd like to nominate Eric Newberg.
We have,
I will second.
we have a nomination and second, motion and second. All in favor, well, any discussion that anyone would like to have? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of Erica Newberg as the 5th commissioner, say aye. Aye. We have a unanimous selection of Erica Newberg as the chair of this commission.
Mr. Chairman, while we're working on it, I'd like to make a motion to move item 6, opportunity for public comment.
So we are going to now move item 6 to begin now.
Okay,
So we will open for public comment, and the time is 9:58. So public comments will be open for 30 minutes from this point. And we will now take a brief break while we organize how to bring in the 5th member
And swear.
and to discuss and to try to connect in with Katie Hobbs on swearing her in.
You, Mr. Chair, want to announce the time that public comment officially starts, and then as well as the time that you could do this again, just to remind.
So once again, the public comments have begun at 9:58, and they will be open until 10:28. Thank you, and we'll take a brief break. So how do we go about now?
a lot of meetings and opportunities to be in person and get to know one another and learn and work collaboratively.
You ready?
Okay, I think you guys are good to resume whenever you're ready.
Okay, we are now resuming our public meeting, and we want to welcome our new fifth commissioner and chair, Erica Newberg. And are we doing a swearing in now? And is Katie Hobbs available?
I'm here. I'm ready whenever you are.
Thank you, Secretary Hobbs. Please take over.
All right. Thank you so much. Commissioner Newberg, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
Okay, I don't know if other people are hearing the, I'm hearing a recording of the previous few minutes and I'm not hearing you, Katie, so.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
To the same.
Okay, are other people hearing it's a replay?
Are you on the YouTube link or on the Google Hangout?
You know what? Let me make sure that
They should both be showing. There's a 70-second delay, which is maybe why the confusion. There's 70-second delay.
Maybe mute the YouTube if you're on that link too.
I think we can move forward. I'm so sorry. There was that other noise.
That's okay. Do you want me to start over?
No, the last segment.
Right. So it was support the laws and Constitution of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And defend them against all enemies.
And defend them against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
The duties of the office.
The duties of the office.
Of Commissioner for the Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission.
As Commissioner of the Independent Redistricting Commission.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right. Congratulations, Commissioner Newberg. And I'm assuming there's an oath that you will sign and have notarized somehow. And with that, I will excuse myself so you can get back to business. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Secretary of State. We appreciate your service and your participation.
Thanks.
Thank you, Secretary. So Erica, officially now, you are chairing the remainder of this meeting, but as the interim chair, I'm here to help you through this agenda. And do you have the agenda in front of you?
I do. I have just printed the agenda, and thank you very much. I'm happy to take over with the assistance, to be honest, of all four of you. And again, I would like to just reiterate for those who are now coming back to the public portion of this, I'm deeply honored by this selection, and I truly view this as a collective vote of confidence in the legitimacy and independence of our process by all parties involved. And I have the greatest belief, Republicans, Democrats, and independents will be very fairly represented and will have a voice in this process. I give all of you and our entire state my deepest commitment on that. And I applaud the commission for, consensus, for civility, for a commitment to the process. And I also see this as a vote of confidence in our Constitution, that we are coming into this with a very shared vision of what our mission is, and that is to implement the principles of the Constitution in the hierarchy that we collectively discussed through this process. And I believe that if we stick to these rules, that we will do well for the state. So thank you very much.
Well said, Art.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe our next order is to actually, well, first, I believe that there's public comment coming in. Commissioner Meal, if you could help me with this, I believe there's maybe a 30-minute window of public comment. If we could maybe keep track of the time and just make sure that we do right, by that responsibility. And while that is going on, I believe that we can move to the next item on the list, which is the selection of a vice chair. I open it up to motions. I would request and I recommend that we, as we discuss this, to be thinking about the criteria that we want to use, because as much as we can stick to objective criteria and facts and logic and reason, we'll do a better job of creating, I think, mutual trust. And so as we discuss vice chair, issues like diversity, seniority, capability, accessibility, let's think about it all. So I open it up to the four of you.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion, I guess. I'll move to nominate Derek Watchman as a vice chair. I think he would bring somebody outside of Maricopa County into the mix as part of that, and adds to the diversity indicator that you mentioned. And I feel he'd be very well qualified.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I second that motion. Doug York.
Okay. Open it up for discussion.
Is there another?
I kind of agree. Be good for the state.
I think we will be in support of Derek's nomination.
Okay, if the committee feels ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Derek Watchman. You are now our vice chair, and thank you so much for stepping up to serve.
If it's okay, I'd like to just make a comment to thank David Meal as the interim chair. I think he did a great job moving us through and getting us into the process. So I would just like to publicly thank him.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Watchman. I do also want to thank Commissioner Meal and the confidence of my colleagues here for selecting me as vice chair. I was appointed and selected based on obviously being from Northern Arizona, Window Rock, but also I'm a member of the Navajo Nation. And so in my appointment letter, I'm honored to be this. And so I'm honored here, and thank you for the vote of confidence. I do, am fond and respect our Constitution. And of course, in Arizona, we have 22 plus tribes, and we all have treaties with the United States government. And I also respect and honor that. And so in many cases, I feel like a dual citizen. But first and foremost, I'm an Arizonian, and I hold dear to my heart, making sure that I represent not only the Native Americans, but folks and individuals and citizens and members of this state. And so thank you, my colleagues, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I echo the, thanks to our interim chair, David Meal. I absolutely concur. You've done an outstanding job, and I think the four of you have gotten off to an excellent start. And I really applaud the collegiality and the level of trust in moving forward together. So that's fabulous. Anything else anybody wants to say on the selection of the vice chair? Okay. Moving forward, in addition to the public comment, I think it's time for us to begin to discuss our next meeting along with the agenda. I believe that in no way will this be exhaustive. I think we are all a little new to this process, and I know the department administration will want to offer some training and some guidance. But, let's at least begin a conversation about dates, times, preferences, in-person, virtual, as well as topics. So I open it up to discussion.
I'll just ask a question for the group. I'm happy to, if it's okay with everybody, but it's up to especially the two people who travel. I like having us in person if possible, because I think it's good for us to have these conversations, but I would leave that to Commissioner Neal and Commissioner Watchman, because they're the ones who have to actually do the traveling.
Commissioners Neal and Watchman?
This is David Meal speaking. For important meetings where we have significant things on the agenda, I strongly suggest that we meet in person. But I think there will be other meetings where the agenda will be less weighty, and doing those where we can join in virtually would be very helpful, both, I would assume, to Derek and I know to me. So I think we should really look at each agenda as we go forward as to when it's more important to try to meet in person.
This is Commissioner Watchman. We still have, this is my area, impact.
My dog is in the background squeaking. This is the risk of doing virtual meetings at home. I'm so sorry.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, I think for the upcoming meetings, we have to select staff, and so interviews, I assume, will have to take place, and so that'll probably result in having us to meet in person. But as long as we're still dealing with the pandemic, virtual meetings would be my preference. But I do think that having a in-person meeting for the next foreseeable meeting is important. And so, but in terms of meeting, I'd like to also suggest that we meet around the state too. If we can get to that point, maybe we all can meet in Wenderoff, and then we go to or Tucson or wherever. Because I think with the vastness of the state, especially when you get into public hearings, it's nice to get out to the community. And so I love Phoenix, but I also would like to get in other parts of the state, so that we all can see firsthand, if we can, the beautiness of our Arizona citizens. So, so for me, for the next couple of meetings, in person will probably be the best course of action, because we have to staff up our commission.
So maybe one of the ideas would be, let's come up with our agenda items, and then we can determine from there which meetings need to be in person versus virtual. That might help us make those determinations as well.
Sounds good.
So Commissioner Newberg, the census in theory is not going to be done until the end of February. So we're a little ahead of schedule, I believe, on our process. And so I think the next process in place would be to select an executive director and a legal team. And so I do believe the Attorney General, where are we at? The Office of Administration
Oh, yeah, the Department of Administration.
The Department of
If we go through that procurement
Administration,
process, or do you mean the hiring?
to help us with that, but they're also going to create a space here for us to meet also. We haven't directly got confirmation on that, but so this would be sort of ground zero, I think.
Mhm.
But I am open to either Zoom or in person. I live in Maricopa County.
And Commissioner York, I think you raised a good point about that we are ahead of the schedule. Last time they didn't start till February, end of February, and since the census is a little delayed, that gives us some time to work on some of these things. I agree, executive director is probably our number one priority.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything that's been said. I think in-person meetings are most productive when feasible, particularly with more sensitive issues like hiring our core personnel. I also, fully embrace the idea of meeting all over the state. With obvious sensitivities to the five of us and where our starting points are. But to the extent that we can meet with as many different communities and geographic locations, I see that as a positive for everybody involved.
So if I may make a suggestion, I think that what would be helpful, sorry. Commissioner Neal, do you need to?
Director Tobin is on the call.
Oh.
Yeah, if we need any information from the Department of Administration, they are on the call.
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
Good morning. Congratulations, Madam Chairwoman. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Director Tobin. It's an honor, and thank you for your collaboration and your service to our state.
Oh my goodness, thank you. So I want to thank the other members for inviting me this morning. I'm hoping that the facilities are working to everyone's favor here. We look forward to supporting you, Madam Chairwoman, and the entire commission with all of the details that would be part of this commission. Including you'll notice this morning you have our chief counsel there, Nicole Sorensen. You have the executive assistant to me and our executive staff, Yasmin Ramos. You had our computer staff down there today and our communications folks setting this up for you. Our site chair director, Nola Barnes, is not there right now, but she is identifying sites. I think the most likely might be the ADQ building where you'll have decent office space. We're happy to share those and get other options if those are not working for you. So myself, I'm at your disposal, and we'll move ahead at light speed to assist. We have a HR department and can assist with all the tasks necessary for recruitment. Of getting bios and things like that for staff as you request. There's not much that we don't do for all of our agencies out there and our boards and commissions and the executive and the legislature. So you're in our building today, and we're very honored to have you. And our goal is to make your term very successful and to mitigate all administrative options that we can help with at all.
And if I might interrupt, Erica, it is time to call the public comments to a close. They were to close at 10:28. It's now 10:32. If you could announce that they're closed and the time.
Okay, closing of public comments at 10:32. Please note, members of the commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-43101, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date.
Do we get to see the public comments? Can I ask if you will send them to us? Okay, thank you. Can I follow up then, if that's okay, about the selection? One of the things that would help us, I think, would be to be able to see the description from last time, so that we could, instead of starting from scratch, we could then tweak it to whatever we think might be more appropriate, or changes for when they did their hiring. To be quite honest, for all the positions, rather than us start from scratch, we can then make any changes we feel are appropriate as part of that for both the director, and then potentially, I think we get a mapping consultant too, right? So perhaps we could ask the Department of Administration for copies of what was used last time, so that if we are working on that for our next meeting, we could start with that as our draft and then make changes as appropriate. Just a suggestion.
Madam Chairwoman, Andy Tobin, Department of Administration, we are happy to provide all back data to the chairwoman so she can review that and get a sense of what had happened in the past. And, you know, there's some of the stuff that's required, Madam Chairwoman, you already know. Some of the stuff that may be considered historical and done in the past. We don't look at things that way. We feel every new commission's a new place, to new starts and for new ideas. So we are going to wait for your direction, which but I think it's a great idea to get you whatever historical data we have for your review.
Thank you very much. I'm, you know, the more data from my perspective, the better. I agree that I encourage us to all be forward thinking. I don't think the past is going to define us. I'm not sure they're models that we necessarily want to follow, but having said that, we want to learn from, you know, what was successful, and that makes a lot of sense. Any other comments or discussion from the other commissioners?
No, not.
No, I didn't know if we were going to try to actually set a next meeting, or if we want to wait and look at things before we set them.
You know, from my perspective, you know, I think that it's wonderful that we do have a little bit of time, given the census data is a little delayed, and we have a lot of homework. I think that there's some preparation. As we all know, I think, you know, 3 of the most important hires coming up, as you mentioned, executive director, mapping consultants, and legal counsel. I'm presuming that we're all probably going to want to do a little bit of background learning and come together. And, you know, it's not clear, you know, if we can accomplish all of our goals necessarily at the next meeting, but I think to get started on some of these responsibilities, you know, would give us time to really pick, I think, the right people who are going to be, like me, I think, consensus personnel, where we can collectively have trust and buy-in.
Can I make a suggestion then, commissioners, that we maybe set, once we receive that, we set because it's easier when we're all together to set a meeting, we set a virtual meeting for the next one to have discussions about the executive director. And perhaps if we have by then what was done in the past, we could work through a job description. I think we want to begin with an executive director before we jump into those others, but that's just, again, just my idea. Other people might have other suggestions, but I think that next meeting could be virtual based on that.
And I would totally agree with Shireen on that. So, and maybe within the next week or 10 days, we could have that meeting. And I assume that it will be a virtual meeting, but it will be a public meeting.
Madam Chairwoman, might I add that while you're organizing that agenda, that you include some time for ADOA. I have our budget people. I'd like them to maybe do a short presentation for you. I have our HR folks, and you know, so I think that may be also helping the commission. It may be a good moment for us to kind of share details that we have and give everyone a sense of what the budget looks like as well. We have our procurement people and our IT folks. So I had them scheduled to come in today. It wasn't appropriate for today, but I want to make sure that your whole team gets to see who the folks are who are the back door to help you. If you'd like to add us to the agenda, we'd be happy to take that invitation and be assistful.
And let me ask you, do you feel that we could successfully train and learn that information through virtual means? Because that may be, you know, a nice initial agenda item along with discussion of the executive director to potentially do virtually, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of building the right teamwork.
So, Madam Chairwoman, we're in a building today with 500 employees. Unfortunately, we have COVID. So today you're in a building with 25 employees. So we believe, and having not missed a trick with the backdoor government, which is tens of thousands of payroll checks every other week and all the accounting going on, we've been able to do all of this virtually since last March 1st. My recommendation is to stay safe. We can't afford to have our commissioners getting ill or our staff. So my recommendation to you, Madam Chairwoman, and the commissioners in total is to do as much virtual as we can until we start seeing a significant improvement in our battle over COVID.
Very well said. Discussion?
Sounds good.
I agree.
It's the first week of February we want to work on. That was Commissioner York.
So
Groundhog Day is on Tuesday.
I am entirely available. This is now become my number one priority. This will be a big part of our lives, and I can convene with all of you at the end of next week if we want a 2-week period to give us a little more time to do some learning and catch up. I'm open to that as well. It sounds like there's consensus to have our first meeting be virtual, given that there'll be a lot of just logistical work to get through.
I'm okay with.
Director Tobin, is the first part of that week work?
Yes, we are, Chairman, we are and members, we are at your disposal. You know, if you told us to scramble to do something tomorrow, we would drop everything we can to make your life easier. We're going to put in your schedule until you select your administration and those who are going to be able to help carry this on. So that works fine with me, and I'll have our staff be able to prepare short briefings for everyone. I mean, it just gives you an overview of how the process will work administratively, and in the meantime, Chairwoman Newberg will be able to get the old records and files and either have them sent to you or copied, or however we can work that out to best get it out to you. So.
Thank you. And Director Tobin, I'm presuming that this training would be, would this be a public meeting that, I mean, not that anybody would necessarily want to watch, but if they were interested, that this would be available to everybody.
You know, there's not much training I'm going to give to the commissioners about how to balance a budget. The answer is you folks just probably want to know, well, how much is there and how's this work and what's it look like? And for the commission that want to utilize our services going forward to handle these budget items and payrolls and stuff, that's what we do. So I think that's what I'm probably going to limit each division manager to like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just something brief. I think as we move on, Chairwoman Newberg, you'll be the one most engaged until you bring on a new exec, and then they will kind of take over those tasks. So, but I think the very quick brief for everybody will give you a good setting for what the commissioners can all expect.
Okay.
February 2nd, Commissioners, you said February 2nd, Commissioner York, and I'm fine with February 2nd.
This is David Meal. I'm clear on February 2nd.
Commissioner Washman, I am available. I just have a question, and that is, in the selection of a director, does it have to be advertised, or is that an appointment? What's the process behind that? because we need to obviously get a director soon, and we're meeting 2 weeks from now. I'm just looking at the timing of what it takes to bring someone on. So it's
Well, it's not quite 2 weeks, but
well, week and a half.
I think,
yeah.
I think the idea was that we'll be hiring somebody, and so this next meeting would be to talk about what qualifications
yeah,
we
we
want
have to
in
say
that.
So I'm just talking about timing, and so, you know, if we have to advertise or is an appointment, you know, there's time frames. So, you know, depending on that, you know, is it the middle of February, end of February before we can bring on a director? I don't know if anybody has a,
Director
an answer to
Tobin
that.
was a question.
Well, Madam Chairwoman, this commission can do whatever it wants. You know, I mean, I'm just telling you, having been through some of these processes, I'm just going to tell you, 3 votes on this commission directs me to do whatever you want. You know, so
Okay.
I'm at your discretion. You tell us how the calendar looks. You tell us who you want to hire. You tell us how you want to do it. We are going to stand with you on your decision.
Yeah, I think for now, if we stick to the agenda that we've carved out, I think we can begin to look at the criteria that's been used, the methods that were used to hire, and we could begin to do our homework such that we can hit the ground running after our next meeting when we really collectively think through the right person that we're targeting. And I think the other issues of advertising and the implementation of it will come very quickly after consensus over who we're looking for.
That sounds wonderful to me, Madam Commissioner.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Do we want to meet in the morning or the afternoon or?
Whatever my feelings, I'll always bow to the people who are from out of town on what your.
Well, we're doing this one virtual, so
Oh,
it
right.
won't matter.
Erica, you gotta
Whatever.
fix
Whatever works for anybody. I'm good on that whole.
I'm open anytime. This is Derek.
I'm free in the entire day as well. So if the commission in the past, it seems like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. has been your sweet spot. But if there's a other preferred time, the entire day is available from my perspective.
9 a.m. works.
9 a.m. works.
Sounds good.
Director Tobin, 9 a.m. on February 2nd.
Always good. Thank you. And Madam Chairwoman, I'll be happy to give you a call and follow up with you if that's helpful. And,
I welcome that very much.
thank you.
Okay, anything else, Director Tobin, that you would like to share with us or ask of us?
So I just want to thank everybody for their service. I know this is a long haul. You have your work cut out for you. And I know your volunteerism is really appreciated across the state. And we look forward to assisting you in any way we possibly can. So thank you for your service, and I wish you the very best of luck through the process.
Thank you.
That's all.
Anybody else have anything they want to share with Director Tobin?
No, thank you.
Any other conversation about our agenda items? We've identified beginning discussions about an executive director, other topics. We want to potentially begin. Excuse me?
Commissioner Newberg, we're going to have some training, correct, also?
Yes, the training. And if there's anything else, if we want to begin, my understanding is that if we want to leave open the possibility of discussion, that we do need to give our community notice. And so, we may want to be more inclusive with agenda items. And if we don't necessarily get to them, we can always table them for another meeting. But I just want to do due diligence, and we have time, prior to this next meeting to add agenda items. I just want to see if there's anything else on top of anybody's minds.
Well, commissioners, maybe if I may make a suggestion, if we want to be inclusive, that in addition to the executive director, if we're going to be receiving information about the other, like the mapping consultant and attorneys, right? That maybe we include those as possible discussion if we end up having time, where we could actually review those documents of what was happening in the past, because I know we will wait to hire anybody else till the executive director, but it might be good for information for us to see the kinds of things that we might have to be doing in the future. And again, we may not get to it because of what you said. You know, we may have enough to discuss, but it might be interesting to just have that information for us for potential discussion.
This is David. I agree with putting it on the agenda because we discovered that if it's not on the agenda, we can't talk about it.
Mhm.
So having it on the agenda will allow us to talk about it if there are things we want to discuss.
Okay. I think we have consensus. February 2nd, 9 a.m. to discuss training, executive director, possible beginning of discussion of legal counsel, and potentially even mapping consultants if that were to come up. Are there, you know, before we adjourn today, there were public comments. I'm not privy to those public comments. I don't know if you have access to them. I'm imagining some of them may be issues for us to address at a future meeting. I don't know if there are any public comments that are best addressed right here today while we're meeting.
Chairwoman, I would recommend that we wait and have the comments sent to us in writing so that we can each review them. And if anything appears that we think should cause us to add something to the agenda, then we could so notify you, or you could make that call.
And,
I agree with Commissioner Meal.
and Madam Chairwoman,
Yes.
good morning. This is Kyle Cummings with the Attorney General's office, and just wanted to follow up on what you said on any comments or anything regarding public comments. Just a reminder that as you noted earlier, that the commission has only limited actions they can take in regards to public comment.
Right.
So yeah, either directing staff to investigate the matter or put it on the next agenda, or the commissioners do have the ability to respond individually to criticism. But I would advise if it's something that should be responded to individually, then it might be something to consider putting on the next agenda. So just
Okay.
following up on what you said.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And then that is something else to add to our agenda to discuss public comments. And I also actually have another question, which, you know, because I'm you know, the last to join this process, the process of taking meeting minutes. Who actually is responsible for that until we clarify what the process is?
Madam
So-
Chairwoman, this is Andy Tobin. We'll be having the minutes of today transcribed off of this recording.
Okay.
And that's what our intention is for the commission until your exec decides to do something different or continue that process.
Okay.
We would have had a
Thank you.
stenographer here today, except there was just none available on the short notice. So but you'll see there's a recording button up in the left-hand corner of everyone's screen that's showing that we're recording this so that we can have it later.
Okay, thank you. And Kyle, are there any other legal issues that we ought to be addressing today before we adjourn?
I do not believe so, Madam Chairwoman. It's, you know, as Commissioner Meal just mentioned, you know, just bear in mind, just keep discussions on the topics of the agenda going forward. And so, you know, that's just me bullying the commission again on that. So.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I look forward to the comprehensive training. This is, I don't, you know, it's new to all five of us. And you know, it'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but, you know, we're quick learners.
Commissioners, I have a question. Are we taking public comment at every meeting? Do we have that as an agenda item on every meeting? Or not? I mean, I don't even know. I'm asking, is that something that is done? I don't know what the process is.
So, Madam Chairwoman, if I may chime in, this is Cal Cummings again. So, under the open meeting laws, the commission does have the discretion to decide whether or not to have public comments and everything. So that's for the commission to decide.
Thank you.
So,
And any discussion on that issue? I mean, I'm a strong proponent of public contribution.
No.
I just don't know if we want to, I mean, I know some commissions, they have people do public comment at the beginning. Sometimes we do it like we did this time where we open it up, which may be a good idea for right now, where we just have a period of time that's open and then we can always review those because we can't act on them the same day. So maybe we include a public comment period on our meetings, and then we will receive those public comments later, and we can always address those at the next meeting.
Right.
That might be a way to keep that open for now until we figure something else out. Just a thought.
So Erica, you might want to add the ability to have public comments to the agenda.
Or if anybody wants to make a motion now for that, I mean, we can discuss this more comprehensively next meeting. But if the commission is ready to make a motion on a policy, I'm open to that as well.
So my recommendation would be for at least right now, or for the next meeting anyway, that we accept public comment electronically in writing,